I welcome you all for today's lecture module 3 and lecture 6. In this lecture we will be studying about limit gauging, what is the meaning of limit gauging, why it is necessary, and then what are the various kinds of gauges used, how they are manufactured, and what are the materials selected for manufacture of gauges, and what are the precautions to be taken while using gauges, and the different kinds of gauges used for checking external features like diameter, depth, etc., etc. Also, what are the various gauges used for measuring for checking holes, and then also we will study different types of gauges like pitch gauge, radius gauge, etc. Also we will study about air gauge, and then we will move to the design of limit gauges. Now let us start the lecture. Let us understand what is limit gauging. Now in the mass production, the components are manufactured in large quantities, and many a times it is not needed to check the dimension of each and every component, and if we can just check whether the workpieces are within the prescribed limits, upper limit and lower limit, that will be enough, and there will not be any need to check the actual size of components using measuring instruments. In such cases, to check whether the components are within the prescribed limit, we use the gauge instruments called limit gauges. Now what is the advantage of this limit gauging? Since we are not measuring the actual size of the component, and then we will be using only gauges, the inspection of the parts will be very quick, and costs associated with the inspection will also be less. Now what are gauges? These are inspection tools without a scale. There will not be any scale built into the gauges. They check the dimension of the manufactured parts, and they will tell the status whether the workpiece is acceptable or whether it is acceptable or not. Only that information it will give, and the actual size will not be given by the gauges. Now how these gauges are classified? There are many ways in which these gauges are classified based upon the standard, the type of limit gauge, whether it is standard gauge or limit gauge, they are classified, and then based upon the use or purpose, whether they are used for working gauges or for inspection purpose or for reference or master gauges. Depending upon the elements to be checked, they are classified as gauges checking for holes, and then gauges used for checking the shafts, tapers, threads, and different kinds of forms. And then according to the shape of the gauges, they are classified as plug gauge, like full form plug gauge, segmental plug gauge, and then ring gauges, snap gauges, taper gauges, thread gauges, form gauges, and also thickness gauges. Now according to their design, they are classified like whether they are single limit gauges or double limit gauges, single ended, double ended, or progressive gauges, whether they are fixed gauge or adjustable gauges, whether they are replaceable gauges or reversible gauges. If there is any indicating mechanism is there, they are called indicating gauges, and also if air is used for gauging purpose, we say air gauges. And according to the type of work surface that is checked, they are classified as plain work surface gauges, threaded gauges, then the spline gauges, and then keyway gauges. Now what are the gauge materials used for manufacture of gauges? Different kind of materials are used like high carbon steel, and then sometimes mild steel is also used, case hardened steel is used, oil hardened steel, cast iron is also used, and sometimes glass and ceramic and Invar are also used. And while selecting these gauge materials, there are some selection criteria, like the material should be wear resistant. Since the gauge comes in contact with the work part and there is sliding motion, the gauge material should have wear resistant property, and the stability to preserve form and size, the geometric shape of the gauge and then size of the gauge should not alter because of changes in the environment. So stability aspect is also considered, and very important thing is gauges should be corrosion resistant. Since the gauges come in contact with the working environment, like they come in contact with the coolant, oil, etc., there should not be any corrosion on the surface of the gauge. So corrosion resistant materials are selected for manufacture of gauges. Also the machinability of the gauge material is very important. It should be possible to machine to the required size and required shape to the required accuracy level. So this gauge material that is selected should have good machinability, and also it should be thermally stable. Sometimes it comes in contact with higher temperatures like 40, 50, 60 degrees Celsius. The size of the gauge should not alter, so it should have sufficient thermal stability. Now sometimes the plating is also made on the gauge surfaces. For example, say we have a gauge surface like this. So this is the surface of the gauge, and then this is the gauging surface, and this is also gauging surface. Now in order to improve the wear resistance, some kind of coating can be provided on these gauging surfaces, coating like chrome plating, and then carbide coating, narbide coating, sapphire tips are also used at this place. And then carbide, the advantage of carbide plating is it increases the life of gauge by 5 times as compared to the only steel gauges. And carbide tips, if we are using a carbide tip, can be mounted on this, which will increase the service life of the gauge by 10 to 100 times. And tin plating, titanium nitride plating is also provided on the gauging surface, so that the service life enhances. Now coming to the manufacture of gauges, initially the proper material should be selected, and then machining to size. Initial machining is made like turning operation or milling operation if it is flat surface. With some allowance, machining is to be performed, and then heat treatment of if it is steel material, some kind of heat treatment is required to increase the hardness to 58 to 60 Rockwell C, and then tempering is also performed on the material to get the stability. And in sometimes sub-zero treatment, that is the gauge blanks are placed at minus 80 degrees Celsius for long term stability. And then case hardening by carburizing also is sometimes performed on the gauges to improve the hardness of the gauging surfaces. So in that case, case depth of 0.7 millimeter may be required. So after this heat treatment, the gauging surfaces are ground, and then they are lopped, and all sort of finishing operations are performed. And then if plating is required, plating is also performed, and then again after the plating is over, again they are ground and lapped to get the proper size. And then after the finishing is over, we need to calibrate. For example, if you take a snap gauge like this, so what is the distance between these two surfaces? This is very important. So now say we have finished these two surfaces, and what is our requirement, whether it is 10.001 millimeter or 10.005 millimeters, we should fix up some size here. Whether we have really achieved that requirement, we have to check by using slip gauges, and then after calibration is over, we have to mark the specifications like what is the go size limit, and what is the no go size limit, and which side is if it is some progressive type like this, then one is the go limit and other one is no go limit. So one corresponds to the upper size of the workpiece and the other one corresponds to the lower limit of the workpiece. So in that case we have to properly mark the go and no go, and also the manufacturer details, the brand the manufacturer name is also marked on the gauge. And then final inspection should be carried out with respect to the size of the marking of size of the gauges, and whether all the details are provided or not, the the tolerance, what is the tolerance, and what is the which side is go, which side is no go, all such things should be marked properly, and so the inspection is carried out to check all those details, and finally they are packed. Now what are the features of fixed gauges? So these fixed limiting gauge, that means the size cannot be altered. There are some limit gauges wherein some slight adjustment can be made, they are known as adjustable gauges. We will be studying about those adjustable gauges in a short while. So fixed limit gauging is most cost effective method of checking parts, since the time taken to check the part is very less. So what the operator will do, he will take the workpiece, he will clean the workpiece surface, and he will take the gauge and he will clean the gauge surface, and he will try to insert the workpiece into the gauge. If it enters the go side, and if it does not enter the no go side, then the workpiece is accepted, like that. So no actual size is measured in the gauging system, so the inspection will be very fast, and then it requires very little training, since the gauges are very simple to use and not much detailed training is required to train the operators, and unskilled workers can use the gauges and they can check the workpieces, and no recording of the part size, no measurement is made and no recording of the workpiece is made. We just say whether the workpiece is acceptable or not, and the quick checking of the parts and all these gauges they are traceable to ISO standards, and then different kinds of coating is possible to enhance the service life of the gauges, and then also custom built gauges can be made depending upon the requirement of the user. And very important thing is in order to use these gauges there is no external power needed, only manpower. The operator takes the gauges and he checks the workpieces, no external power is required except air gauges where pneumatic air supply is required. Then let us move to the various kinds of gauges. Now what is the meaning of this standard gauge? So it is nothing but a mating part. Mating part is used as a gauge. For example, say we have a workpiece like this with a hole, with some mean dimension of x. So the mean size of this hole is x. Now there will be a mating part for this particular hole, a shaft again with the same mean size. So the mating part itself is used as a gauge to check whether the hole is proper or not, but in actual practice what we check using limit gauges is whether the workpiece is within the allowable limit. Some tolerance is given to the workpieces and there will be an upper limit for the workpiece and there is a lower limit for the workpiece. So that status we have to check. So this concept of standard gauge wherein both the hole and shaft or the workpiece or the gauge they are made to permit the mean size. So this concept is only a theoretical concept and it is not used in practice. Now let us move to the other types of limit gauges. So this shows a double ended plane plug gauge. Plane means the surface that is to be checked is plane, that means there are no threads. So it is called the plane plug gauge. So this is used as a plug, so we say it is a plug gauge. Since the two gauging surfaces are there, so this is the first one first gauging surface and this is the second gauging surface. So we say, and they are mounted on both sides of the handle, this red part is the handle. So the gauges are mounted on both the ends of the handle. So we say this is a double ended plane plug gauge. Now what we should understand here, there are two gauging ends. So this corresponds to the maximum material limit, that is this is GO gauge. So this is used for checking the holes. So GO gauge corresponds to the maximum material limit and then no GO gauge corresponds to the minimum material limit, or here this is used to check what is the minimum size of the hole and this is used to check the maximum size of the hole. And we can see here the GO end is longer than the no GO end. See how we use this to check the workpiece. We will be having a workpiece with a hole and there will be always some tolerance. So this is the tolerance for the workpiece. Now we take this plug gauge and we try to insert GO side. So this is GO side, this portion we try to enter. GO should enter the hole. So when it enters then we remove it and then we try to insert no GO part, okay, no GO side of the gauge, no GO side we try to insert into the hole. No GO should not enter into the hole. Now you can see here no GO, it is slightly greater than the upper limit, so this no GO will not enter. That means when GO enters into the hole and no GO does not enter, then that hole is acceptable, that workpiece with that particular hole is acceptable. Then what are the other things here you can see this is 25H7. So 25 is the basic size and then H7 is the tolerance. So basic size is also mentioned on the handle of the gauge and what is the tolerance that is allowed, that is also mentioned, and actual values are also mentioned. Since this is H, the basic the fundamental deviation is 0, so the basic size will be equal to the lower size of the hole, lower limit of the hole will be equal to the basic size. So this is exactly 25 millimeter, and the see exact 25 millimeter is always very difficult to manufacture. So some some tolerance is also provided for manufacture of gauges, they are called gauge tolerance. This we will see after some time, and you can see here this is plus 21, that means the diameter of this is equal to 25.021 millimeter. That means when compared to the basic size, this is greater by 0.021 millimeter. And we can also observe one more thing, the manufacturer name is marked here. So all these things are as per Indian standard IS 3484. So what should be the length and what should be the length of this no-go portion, what should be the diameter at this place, what should be the diameter at this place, what should be the length of the handle, all those things are specified in this IS 3484. So they are made as per this IS 3484, and most of the times a red mark is provided on no-go side. So no-go is marked on the handle, as well as red paint is provided at this place to indicate that it is no-go side. Now we can observe one more thing here, in the handle we have a hole here. So this is called taper lock renewable end. So this first red gauge, it is taper lock renewable end. What is the meaning of taper lock? See here this double ended this particular gauging portion, it will have a tapered shank, it will have a tapered shank, and there will be a mating taper in the handle. So what we have to do, we have to press this gauging gauge into this taper in the handle, and then we have to press it so that it gets fixed into the handle. Then how do we remove it? Say we want to after some time this is worn out and we want to replace it with new one. So that is why it is called renewable end. So what we have to do is we have to take a drift or a tapered part, and we have to push it here into the hole. In that case this gauge will come out, and then we can insert a rod to remove this no-go end, and then new ends can be mounted on this handle. That means handle can be reused. And coming to this is solid type. You can see here the handle and then go gauge and no go gauge all are made in a single unit. So this is a solid type plug gauge. If the size, nominal size is less, we can go for solid type. If nominal size is more like 25, 30, 35, then we go for renewable, taper lock renewable type. And what is the range of availability? They are available if it is carbide coated or carbide gauges, then the range is up to 2 millimeter to 40 millimeter they are available, and if it is hardened steel from 2 millimeter to 250 millimeter diameter gauges they are available. Also if special requirement is there, they can be built as per the customer's requirement. Now in the case of go no go end, that is double ended type, what happens is we have to take the workpiece in which there is a hole which is to be checked. We have to take the double ended plug gauge, we have to insert go side, and then we have to remove that gauge, and then we have to insert the no go. So like this the time taken to gauge the workpiece or the hole will be more. So to save time, progressive gauges are made. You can see here there are two portions with the handle. This is the go gauge. So this diameter corresponds to the go limit, and this one corresponds to the no go limit. So in one insertion inspection of the hole can be completed. That means time for checking the hole can be saved. And another if the hole size is very less like 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter like that, then we say pin gauges are used, and you can see here this is the handle, okay, and there is a green color is used. So this will indicate that this portion is go. It is also marked here, go side is marked, and also the color indicates that this is go, and then we have red color here which indicates that this portion is no go. And the limits are also, what is the exact sizes are also mentioned here. This is this diameter is 12.80 millimeter and this diameter is 12.9 millimeter. And sometimes if the hole that is to be checked is a big one, like say 250 millimeter or 350 millimeter, 300 millimeter, it is a big hole. In that case what happens is, if we use a full form gauge, that means the plug gauge with full form round gauge, then it becomes very heavy. So using that heavy gauge becomes difficult. So in such cases segmental flat type gauges are used. They look like this. Now this is the segmental gauge. With the handle. Now you can see here full round form is not used. So this much is removed and only we are using a segment part of that full form. So they are called segmental, since they are flat pieces, flat type gauges. The advantage is the material that is required is less and the weight is less, so that the operator can comfortably use them. Also if the diameter of the hole to be checked is large, then we always go for single ended plug gauges in order to reduce the weight of the gauge. So we use one gauge for checking the upper limit and one more gauge for checking the lower limit. So they are called single ended plug gauges. Now we can see some details of plug gauges. Up to 10 millimeter solid type double ended plug gauges are made, and then from 10 millimeter to 30 millimeter taper lock double ended plug gauges are made, in which case the ends can be renewed. When the ends are worn out, new ends can be replaced. From 30 to 63 millimeter fasten type double ended plug gauges are used. They are not taper lock, the ends are fastened to the handle. And then from 63 to 100 millimeter single ended plug gauges are used. So we need to have two gauges, one for go limit and go and other no go. And from 100 to 250 millimeter flat type single ended segmental type plug gauges are used, and above 250 and above rod type gauges or pin gauges are used with spherical ends. They look like this. Say we have to check a big hole and the diameter of this is say 300 millimeter. So diameter is 300 millimeter. In such cases if we use full form gauge, it will be very heavy. So what the practice is to use pin gauges with spherical ends like this. So the length of this is controlled. There will be one pin for go the lower limit and one pin for upper limit. So we have to insert it and then we have to rotate it, or we have to remove it and again we have to insert like this. Some 2-3 times we have to do like this. Like this. So these are called pin gauges. They will be very light in weight, so easily operator can use them. Now what are the limitations of plug gauges? Sometimes the hole conditions like tapered hole, bell mouth or out of round hole, it will be very difficult to distinguish. So, it will be something like this. Say we have a workpiece like this with a hole like this. So, it is tapered, sometimes it is bell mouth like this, it is opened up like this. So, what the operator will do, he will take the plug gauge and he will just insert it. So, whether it is tapered or whether it is bell mouth and whether there is any out of roundness is there, that will be very difficult to check by using the plain plug gauges. So, say we have a workpiece with a hole like this, and then we use the round gauge. Now you can see here it is entering, go is entering and not go is not entering, but there is some ovality in the hole. So that cannot be checked by using these plug gauges. Then gauging surfaces and square edges, that means the end of the plug gauge, it will be square. So these square edges are unprotected, they are open, and hence they must be handled and stored carefully. If the proper protective coating is not applied, the gauging surfaces may get corroded and they become unusable. And then they have an easy tendency to roll off or fall off from the workbench. Since the workpiece, the gauges are round, they will roll off from the table. So proper care should be taken to place them in a proper place so that they will not fall. If they fall, then the work surface, the gauging surface may get affected and they become unusable, and they may get corroded if not properly protected from grease or oily layer. Whenever they are not used for a longer time, it is necessary that some oily layer is put, like petroleum jelly is put on the surface, and then they should be stored, otherwise they will get corroded. And then gauge may freeze in the hole if worker exerts undue pressure on the gauge. This is very important. See, we should not force the gauges into the hole. What happens if we force the gauge into the hole? It will enter, but it will deform the hole may expand. So undue pressure should not be exerted. So what the operator should do, say we have a hole like this, and then the gauge side of the go side of the plug gauge should be just held here, so that it moves inside without exerting any, due to its own weight it should enter. So that is the practice followed in the industry, and undue pressure, if it is not entering, undue pressure should not be exerted. And if required, before using we may apply some oil, thin oil, so that it easily flows into the hole. And then coming to the snap gauges, these are used for checking the shafts, the size of the shaft. There are two types, one is a fixed type snap gauge. We can see here this is a fixed type double ended because one side, this is one working side, this is another working side. Okay, so this is called double ended fixed snap gauge. Okay, and here we have an adjustable snap gauge. What happens with the fixed gauge? After some usage, maybe after 1000 times insertion or 2000 times insertion, the gauging surface is subjected to wear and the size will change. See, here you can see it is marked 25 J6, 25 is the basic size and J6 is the tolerance that is allowed. So actual size is also mentioned here, minus 4 microns and plus 9 microns. So here it is 25 0.009 millimeter, this is go, and then this is minus 25 minus 0.004. So, that is no go side. So, due to continuous usage this gap will change. So, in that case one thing is we can send these gauges, worn out gauges for repair, that means again they will coat maybe chrome plating or tin coating, TIN coating they will do, and again they will repair it. Otherwise say the tolerance itself changes, the design engineer will change the design itself, the tolerance itself. In such cases we cannot use such gauges, whereas here the adjustable gauges can be changed. If tolerance changes these anvils can be moved and they can be set to the new required sizes. We can see here the arrangement is, this is the long anvil, we say this is fixed, and here we have movable anvils. Now how we can move? We can see here the locking screws are there, and here there will be a screw and one more screw for this. So we have to unlock these screws and we have to take a screwdriver and we have to operate these screws, so that these anvils will move in and out, and then using the slip gauge we can fix what is the size that is required for go and what is the size that is required for no go. And then after fixing the sizes using slip gauges we have to lock these two anvils by locking these screws, and then these all these screws are waxed, so that unauthorized adjustments are not done. Somebody may take these gauges and they may unscrew these screws and they may adjust it. So to avoid such things, all the screws after making adjustments by proper authorized person, they will lock the screws and then they are waxed. So while using this snap gauge the operator should see whether seal is intact. If it is not intact, if it is disturbed, then you should not use such gauges, they should be sent for calibration. Only after calibration and waxing they should be again used. And again I can see here one more type, different type, and this is the handle C, we say, since it is looking like C type snap gauges. And another important thing is, again see the workpiece will go here like this, say go side. The go side should smoothly enter into the shaft. There should not be any over pressure on the snap gauge. If over pressure is applied, then what happens is these surfaces they move out, they expand. So it is very essential that the gauges are not forced onto the workpieces, they should move smoothly. And this is another fixed type snap gauge, plate type snap gauge, and the adjustable gauges are useful so that whenever the tolerance changes they can be adjusted. Also when the when the gauging surfaces are worn out, again we can adjust the gap. So wear adjustment is also possible in adjustable gauges. By making adjustment range of diameters can be inspected. Now double ended snap gauge they are available within this range 3 to 100 millimeter, and if the diameter of the shaft increases, say it is above 100 millimeter, then we use a single ended progressive snap gauge. So it looks like this. So this is single ended, that means this is go and this is no go, that means the workpiece will enter into go side, this is go and this is no go. So, workpiece will not enter into this, if that is the case the workpiece is accepted. So, this is a progressive snap gauge and the single snap gauges are also available like this. So, one for go and similarly one for no go, like that single ended snap gauges are also available, single ended progressive snap gauges are also available. Now let us conclude this session. In this lecture we discussed about the meaning of gauging, necessity of limit gauging, and then what are the various materials used to manufacture the gauges and what are the different types of gauges. We also learnt about the plug gauges, different kinds of plug gauges and snap gauges. In the next class we will continue the discussion on different types of limit gauges. Thank you.